Welcome to another great episode of Quietly Confident Introvert Podcast. I have to tell you that I'm really excited that I keep coming back to record different sessions, different episodes. It's not an easy journey. It's not an easy thing for me to do this. There are other things that are on my plate and I have to deliver. But I've learned a lot. And the things that I have learned are the reason why this episode is being recorded today. Because today I'm going to be talking to you about daily habits of empowered introverted women. So sit tight, grab a cup of tea, coffee, is it fruit tea, water, whatever works for you. The clue is also in there in the fact that one of the daily habits of an empowered introverted woman is having some fluids while she does her work. So, welcome again to Quietly Confident Introvert Podcast, the podcast where we help introverted women in business and leadership to develop quiet confidence, harness their introvert strengths, and go after their big, audacious ambitions. And we want to talk about those daily habits that will help you to go after your big, audacious ambitions. Habits are not something that I thought about when in my younger years. Obviously, I didn't know I was introverted then. I didn't even know the word introverted. But one thing I knew was that I was odd. I felt odd, and the kind of things people talked to me about the that I wasn't belonging or accomplishing made me feel a bit out of place many times. So one of the things I know is that many people who feel different, what they do is they develop coping mechanisms to be able to thrive in a world where their difference feels amplified. Their difference can create barriers for them. Difference can create struggles and challenges. And whatever your personality, sometimes your environment, your behaviors, your way of thinking might not fit where you are, and this can affect you. So for me, I had to develop coping mechanisms. But as time went on, as I got into personal development, I came across different things that talked about habits. And really, one of the quotes I want you to remember is that at first, you make your habits and your habits make you. So it's so important that you focus on creating the right habits. And when I say you make your habits make you, is because we already have habits, whether we like it or not. Like I said, some of our habits are coping mechanisms. Some of them are things we have developed to make excuses. I know that doesn't sound good, but make excuses and get away with some things. So, in the same way, you can choose to develop habits that will feel empowering, feel enhancing, and most habits, once you do them often enough, long enough, they become part and parcel of who you are, whether they are good or bad. And what then happens is it can either help or hinder your progress and your success in life. So, first and foremost, we want to talk about the challenges that introverted women might face, and some of them are overthinking because you're constantly in your head and feeling that sense of overwhelm for stimulus when you're around things that are you are finding overstimulating, overprotecting yourself from exposure or from stimulus, and sometimes overcommitting. So you don't create the right boundaries. So instead of protecting yourself, you go the other way. Those are some of the challenges that introverted women could face. So, if you want to develop habits, habits can be developed in certain ways. One way is to think about how you can use your habits to focus on overcoming your challenges. The other ways is how you can use your habits to enhance your capability to achieve personal effectiveness that allows you to lead your life and achieve holistic success. So for me, I talk about all these things. I train about all these things as part of what I build into my training programs, my speeches, uh, in my keynote speeches. So if you're looking for somebody to really come and inspire your audience, not just introverts, feel free to drop me a line. Anyway, let's head back to some of the things that we've just been talking about when it comes to daily habits of empowered introverted women. First and foremost, we've talked about the challenges. Let's also talk about triggers. With things that we do in our everyday life, there are things that will trigger the use of a habit. And because our habits are already many, for many of us, is on autopilot, you find that some things will trigger your habits and your reactions. Instead of being somebody who is proactive, you can become reactive. Now, I can give you an example. So, for me, when I was much younger, I would find a way to, when I see that there's a knock on the door. Now, I loved my quiet space. My house was already full of people. I really didn't, I really didn't have a lot of space to go find solitude. So, one of my real triggers for distress is when I hear the doorbell or I hear the door knocking. I just know that there'll be people. But the second thing that will happen is my mom would want to feed them and entertain them. And guess what? I'm the first of all the children. So I'll be called in to provide that entertainment and that feeding. So my whole desire to have solitude, it just kind of triggered for me some challenges, like I would have migraines just because after a while of not really having that space to really focus on myself or just to allow myself to deep into my thoughts and just constantly trying to either engage or entertain people, I would just begin to have migraines and need some medication basically. So that's one thing that you can think about. My trigger was, on top of not having space, somebody is coming to the door and knocking. Another trigger for me was more like in the workplace when it's time for lunch. If I don't take my lunch, I will definitely have a very bad afternoon because my lunch allowed me to get away from my table, go away and find some solitude, go away from the noise, from the light, from the sound. Now, there are other reasons why this happened. That's the topic for another day. But basically, I needed to just get away from anything that was stimulating and take an hour away to de de-stress myself and basically plug in to recharge. So those are some of the things that trigger either overwhelm, um, overprotecting oneself. You find that you begin to do some things that are not, enhancing or helping you. So, what are the daily habits that could help a woman who is empowered? I guess the first one that I have found recommending to clients and using myself is working hard over the years to build routines and rituals. Routines and rituals. And some of them, quite simply, could include things like really knowing that I already have, they say introverts have the loudest minds. So just because you're not talking, there are ideas whirling in your mind, whirling in your brain, and all that stuff. What are you going to do about them? So, routines and rituals are things that I do first thing in the morning. And it's not about I have to wake up 5 a.m. or whatever. It's just about thinking about how do I have a winning day. Now, most of you know that I have created a journal, and whether you're an entrepreneur or a leader, this journal will work for you. It's called the Win Your Day Journal. As you can see, for those of you who are watching, I'm holding it up. So it's Win Your Day Journal, and it's a journal that I created out of my own necessity to develop morning routines, to develop a routine and a ritual around how I was going to feel empowered each day. So some of the things I discovered is meditation, but meditation is not always easy when you are in your thoughts. How to quiet that noise in you. The chatter can not always be easy. But one of the main benefits of meditation is the breathing element of it. That breathing allows oxygen to go into the brain, and it really makes all the difference in the world. So I would recommend that you have a morning routine where you are writing down your ideas, you're thinking of meditating. You just have things, and it's not about trying to follow the status quo or trying to follow some format that everybody is doing. Just think about, what do I really need to function today as my best self, to step out as my best self. One of the other habits that I created when I was in the corporate space, there were times in my corporate journey that life became really tough. Going to the workplace was really distressing. And I'll be dreading going to work in the morning. So I created a routine. Fortunately for me, and I say fortunately now, at the time it wasn't fortunate because there were closer opportunities for people to park their cars closer to the office. I didn't have that. So I wasn't lucky. So I had to park in a car park. That meant added some time into my time to get into the office, which means, unlike other people who will find a way to park straight away, and get into the office, I had to add that time to my getting in. So I realized that when I played music, especially gospel music, it lightened my mood, it gave me hope, and it made me feel positive about the day. So immediately I parked my car in that car park. I would put my earphones on and put on the music. By the time I get to the office, maybe one or two songs have played, because most songs, you have songs that last 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, all that stuff. By the time I get to the office, I would have played at least two songs. And those songs are selected deliberately. Sometimes they become like an anthem and a routine that I play the same song every day because they have the words that will inspire and encourage me. So that's a habit that I think empowered me through the difficult times. And the key word there is, you want to build the resilience. You want to build resilience. And you want to feel that you can get up when things are down, when you feel low, when you can't control the circumstances around you. That's the time that you have these habits that you can pull out of the heart. The other one is the rest and recharge. Look out for information as well. If you're in a woman who is in an executive position or who is in a position of authority, you're highly driven but also highly stressed, then we want to teach you some great habits. Myself and a colleague have put together um, a time away for you to help you to rest and recharge. And we're going to teach you some of this and a lot more that relate to women, especially women who are menopausal, women who have had to find themselves again when they have turned 40, perimenopausal, menopausal women. You've got to reinvent yourself and find yourself again. So the rest and recharge becomes a habit that you build, but not just rest like, oh, yes, I just need to lie down. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually solve the problem lying down. um, I have found that lying down, actually resting, sometimes you can't actually rest because there's a lot going on in your mind. Your body also aches. So that's where the recharge comes in. So the habit that you build is how you put things in place to not only rest, but really, really recharge yourself so that you're more effective in a high pressured environment, in to address your high drive and ambitions as well. I train and I have a CPD accredited leadership program called Increase Your Personal Effectiveness and Leadership, Courageous Leadership. And I developed this because of the things that I saw that needed to change in people, and how women can achieve that extra ability to be more effective in what they do, despite the things you can't control, the pressures that come around you. So it's so important that you develop a habit of rest and recharge. Another habit that I found very useful, that has really, really, I have to say, really helped me. In fact, when you're talking about the icing on the cake, is growth habits. Growth habits. And to develop growth habits, you have to ask yourself, who do I want to be? Some people will say, what do I want? Seriously, the deeper question is, who do I want to be? When you ask yourself who you want to be, that is anchored in developing the right habits. Trust me on that one. So, for me, I want to be somebody who's organized. I want to be somebody who is happy despite maybe things around me. I can find things, and I want to maintain my positivity. I want to be somebody who maintains my positivity. I want to be somebody who also maintains my dream, visionary capabilities and strengths to look into the future, to uh, to believe in the possibility of my dreams coming to reality. And I want to be somebody who understands the balance between working hard and working smart. When you begin to ask yourself the question, who do I want to be, rather than what I want, you begin to see that it puts the onus on you to develop those habits, to find the habits that will be aligned to these things that you want to come out of you. So, if you, for example, want to have an organized way of doing things, then one, the journaling is a good idea. So, my journal is not just a journal, it's a self coaching tool. And when I created it, it was about writing down all the things that I wanted to accomplish and getting them out of my head onto paper. Once I got them out of my head onto paper, I would then develop a strategy to focus. So the next thing I would focus. So focusing helps you. Then once you're focused, you now do something and complete that thing before moving on to the next thing. For people who go through the struggle of FOMO, or who get distracted easily, or who multitask, that is a good habit to have because you push yourself. I always have this whisper, that I use for myself. When I find myself drifting from something I have said I'm going to do, and I was doing it, and suddenly I just find myself drifting, I just whisper under my breath, refocus or rewind. And I whisper that, and it just brings me back. And I say, where was I? Where was I? Let's carry on. Let's finish this. Because one thing that people do when they don't want to do something is to procrastinate. You do everything else but that thing that you're meant to do. So, how to beat that easily is once you've planned, let that come up to the surface. Let that be the number one thing on the list that you're going to focus on rather than the number four thing. Because again, that is a way you are trying to escape it. Yes, it's on the list, but it's number three. So you're not going to prioritize it because it's hard. And your mind is telling you it's hard. I don't want to do it. So you put it on number three, right? You want to put it on number one, and you want to wake up in the morning. So, being somebody who is, I'm not ashamed, I've never hidden that. Um, I talk about it a lot. Being somebody who has struggled with menopause symptoms or perimenopause symptoms, I I've had to manage my sleep very carefully as part of the habits I've had to form. I've had to change the way that I handle sleep. But then, if it doesn't work out and I'm awake, then I use that time effectively. That's the time to do the hard stuff. That's the time to kind of, because on the one hand, the lack of sleep is frustrating. But on the other hand, if you win and do something you've not been able to do and do something that you're struggling to do, what happens is you become proud of yourself. And that feeling, that happy feeling, sometimes haven't done that thing or haven't started that thing, I go back to bed and somehow I sleep again. So I'm fortunate that I work for myself. So it means that I can have an unusual sleep pattern. But if you're in the workplace and you can't have that kind of unusual sleep pattern, one of the ways now that I think about it that I used to cope before at least when I used to drive my car to the workplace, and I had parking. In some of them, I had parking in the office in the area, so that made it possible. I would go into my car and I would push the seat back and I would sleep, and I would take a power nap. And power naps are really, really brilliant and empowering, invigorating. Your brain just goes, "Woo, thank you very much." So I think about it. Can you take power naps? What situations can you take power naps? And if you're in the workplace, form the habit of removing unnecessary things. I was in a group once, and um, one of the things the lady there said was she started to ask the question: is my presence really needed in this meeting? Is it something that can be done via email? And if it is, then she found out that she was able to thin out her need to be in every meeting, every conversation. Especially as an introvert, she needed space to breathe from things that were coming at her or people talking at her all the time. She was struggling. So think about that. That's a strategy that you can apply. Form the habit of asking for what you want, asking for space, creating your own space to be able to recover, and really understand what your challenges are. Your challenges, I always say, and you must have heard it in another episode, you hear it here again. Challenges are chances for change. Actually, challenges are permission for you to do things differently, permission for you to protect your boundaries, permission for you to say, "Oh, I can't do that now. Sorry, thank you. I pass." Or to actually look at your own self and go, "Is my life really enhancing or empowering, or is it disempowering and um, challenging because I don't have the right habits?" So, again, just going back to growth habits, reading, I struggled to read. Once the menopause symptoms and brain fog got difficult, struggling to read is one of those things that began to find. And I used to say to people, "Oh, me, I hate listening to books. Oh, no, I rather read them. I love to go through and just underline and just see." And I found out that I was putting up my reading list for the year and not making as much progress as I wanted to make on the reading list. So I thought to myself, well, sometimes I would listen to music, sometimes I would listen to a summary of a book, but not a full book. So why can't I just stretch it and listen to a full book? I mean, I have to learn. I have to learn to like something that I didn't like before and I didn't think I would ever need to do. When people say, "Oh, I listen to an audiobook," I will say, "Oh, no, that's not me." But neither was the way I was experiencing menopause, making it all me. That wasn't me. It's not me. I was experiencing different things. So I took on board the listening to books, and my first book was a 6 hour listen. And that also meant that when I took my walks, I could listen to the book. When I was in the house, I could just play the book if I felt like I was chilling and just playing the book. And it was a book on how I could be more energized as well. So, a book by Simon Ong, I recommend it. Energize is called. Uh, Not that there are a lot of new concepts there, but it was nice to remind myself. So I listened to that book, and it was useful because, again, since they're familiar things and I was reminding myself, it was a great book to choose to read at the time when I was struggling to read and I wanted to create a new habit around reading. If it was something around that was really complex and I was really pushing myself, then no. Another strategy that I heard somebody talk about, and that was Adam Grant. He said, "You don't have to finish every book you start." Now, that's an interesting one that can also help you create the habit of growth through reading, Because if you pick up a book and it's not really enhancing your growth, it's not challenging you and making you think, so that you'll be thinking, I need to get to the next page, and you're really struggling, and all you want to do is to tick a box and go, I read that book, and you're not growing out of it. His suggestion was that put it aside and find something else. If you find a book that's really enhancing your growth, you won't put it down until you're done with it. So, and why not? Why can't you give yourself permission to really enjoy the things that you do? So that's another habit that I think is important to form. Be willing to be happy, be willing to enjoy things. um it's so easy in our world today to say hard work, to say things, and they have to be difficult. Enjoyment can make you feel guilty, can make you feel odd. I don't know whether it's just me, but if I'm enjoying something, I'm like, oh, I must be doing something wrong sometimes. you know if you're even with food, sometimes these days it's like nice food, oh, there'll be too many calories, so you can't enjoy it guilt free. And a new habit is to kind of ask myself, really, am I allowing myself to enjoy this? And if so, if not, why not? Why am I not allowing myself to enjoy this? So that you can enjoy the things that you're doing. So, why am I sharing all these daily habits? Because I've had to, the menopause journey has made me feel a bit disempowered, and I've had to reinvent the habits that would help me feel more empowered again. And again, because as you well know, since I work with introverts and I talk a lot about building quiet confidence, struggles that are happening underneath, the struggles that are happening behind the door, they are the ones that actually erode your confidence more than the struggles in public. So private battles can lead to public public challenges, but private victories as well can lead to public glory, public celebrations. So when you're having a private struggle, ask yourself, how can I create private victories? Nobody might be clapping for you, nobody might be celebrating how you're moving on and winning, but trust me, the habits you're building, when you get out there, they'll help you to be celebrated, and they will help you to actually build that quiet, innate confidence, because actually you've taken the time to overcome those struggles that you're facing. So that's the reason why I wanted to share a lot about this. Um, and in conclusion, I just want to say that anything that is threatening your happiness, you need to develop a habit to keep yourself. And I'm not talking, maybe happiness is not the key word, it's joy. Joy is not something you can place your finger on. Happiness can be fleeting, like McDonald's Happy Meal, and you eat it and you think, oh, I'm just only happy for 5 minutes. But joy comes from building the right habits on a daily basis, the right routines that help you to be stable, that help you to have flow, that help you to have focus, that help you to be effective, that help you to nurture and look after yourself. And we all know that sometimes as introverts, you might struggle with feeling appreciating yourself because you're not loud and proud, so to speak. You can be quiet and proud too. So let's do that. So just the quote that I just feel like I want to share with you is one um, by Viktor Frankl, and it talks about. I've quoted it before, and I would love to talk about that again. And it just talks about the fact that um, we have an opportunity to choose between stimulus and our reaction. We have an opportunity in the gap between that stimulus that happens to us. And we all know stimulus can be a swear word for introverts sometimes, because when you get overstimulated, your brain just wants to explode sometimes. But he says between that stimulus and our reaction is our opportunity to choose. And in that choice, in that gap, in that space of our choice, lies our power, lies our strength, lies our growth. So I'm paraphrasing, but I just want to say that that's a good way to look at life and ask yourself, in that place between stimulus and your reaction, is there a habit there that enhances and leads you to have a positive reaction? I hope that you found this useful. Feel free to get in touch and let me know which part of this really resonated with you. What are some of the key strategies that you're using and habits that you're developing to feel like an empowered introverted woman? And if you need support, if you need coaching, if you need a friend, a catalyst, or a cheerleader by your side helping you as a highly driven woman in an executive position, a leadership position, somebody who's building a business, if you need somebody to cheer you on and to say, you go, girl, you're doing it, and help you to think through the habits that you need to create, feel free to get in touch. Feel free also to put in the comments, whatever contributions you want to make. I encourage you, please share this podcast with other introverted women who you want to help and be a blessing to. In the meantime, please take care and stay quietly and confidently introverted. God bless. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Quietly Confident Introverts. If you found today's discussion valuable, please subscribe, rate, review, and share the podcast with others. Your feedback fuels our mission to empower introverted women leaders. Remember, you can also connect with me, Patience Ogunbona, at The Visionary Introverted Woman, where we are dedicated to helping you discover your inner strength and lead with purpose. Stay true to your vision. Embrace your introverted superpowers, and let's make a lasting impact together. Until next time, stay confidently introverted.